Hello everyone! We are now entering Noise Kitchen Art. Today, we are very happy to have Noise Kitchen Art's new media artist, Wang Zhongkun. We will first give you an introduction to teacher Zhongkun. Zhongkun is himself very good at many things. For example, kinetic mechanical art installations or sound art installations and exhibitions. Now, we'll ask Zhongkun to tell us about the Noise Kitchen Art team.
Let me introduce to you Noise Kitchen Art. I am the artistic director of Noise Kitchen Art. Just now, Chiao-Mei explained that apart from being a member of Noise Kitchen Art, I am also an independent artistic creator. I'm especially adept at mechanics, kinetics, and sound creations. Noise Kitchen. Noise Kitchen is a team created through the combination of multidisciplinary people. We first started in 2012 as a cafe. When we were a cafe, our current name is Noise Kitchen, so we started as a cafe. From the time when we were Noise Kitchen Cafe, we were in the Taipei Digital Art Center. The CEO of the Taipei Digital Art Center, Mr. Huang Wenghao, mentioned that he wanted the Digital Art Center to have a cafe. But we thought that the cafe had to be different from ordinary cafes because it was in the Digital Art Center. So we came up with the idea to bring sound art into this everyday space. So this leads us to a series of thoughts about sounds in life. It was at that time where in various sections of furniture, for example, inside of a table, xylophone keys were hidden. The pipes on the wall also became a device for transmitting sound. And there were also, hidden on the surface of pillars, there were some mechanical things like piano rolls, and the pipes above became a sound instrument. So this living place was full of sounds. And there's the mini organ cabinet that we have kept. When you open its drawers, it simultaneously can play like an organ and emit some sounds. It's like the folding stool, the best of the top 10 weapons. Hidden inside of a folding stool is actually the most powerful weapon. So we use these kinds of ideas to emit sound that can be hidden in any place in life to create a cafe. Also, after the cafe was established, we had many people from various disciplines join. So it slowly became an independent creative team, because our ambition was not to make a cafe, but to make all sorts of weird devices that would make noise and resonate with people. So then, in 2013, we did a large music installation at the Taipei Expo Park. We also proposed the music installation, because initially we saw lots of 3D rendered automatic musical instruments on the internet. We thought that we could really make them. So we started off from percussion and set off. We began with percussion. We decided on 2 marimbas, 2 metallophones, 7 stringed instruments, a bass drum, a drum set, Chinese wooden bells, Western wooden bells, and some small percussion instruments. Then we made them into an automatic band shaped like a cake tower. From that time, we were very excited about what we could do. So we put a lot of mental energy in it and just plunged in. Then unexpectedly, in half a year, we really completed another work that would become one of Noise Kitchen Art's early foundational works. We think that artistic creation should be more approachable. Through mechanical devices and musical and auditory elements, everyone can feel more easily how art exists in our daily lives. Soon, at the Taiwan Music Institute, that is the Taiwan Music Institute in the Taiwan Traditional Theater Center, we will have 2 large outdoor installations. There's also some indoor, smaller interactive installations. They'll be exhibited this year. Noise Kitchen Art has always hoped to combine technology and art in approachable works. This is the direction that we've always strived for.
Now, we will ask the artist to show us the studio. Let's go!
Now, I will show you all Noise Kitchen Art's space. This space here is our living room and reception area. It also has the assembly area for our installations. So in this space, you will see some of our past works and some installations. We keep them all in this space, like this piece on the wall here. This is from our early Noise Kitchen Cafe. It's a piano roll device we made. The knobs on it are actually like a musical score. You can take them off and rearrange the song. So when they're past their sensor, they drove many of the instrumental sounds in the space. Here there are also some of the things that we are currently developing and testing and some workshop kits. For instance, this is from a World Cup event that we held. We had many of these. We call it UU Kart because it has a U shape and 2 wheels. We can use it with a mobile app control, and then you can have it hold a soccer ball here, and then on a turf split into teams and try to score goals.
That sounds really fun.
And it is a kit for mall events. There are also some of our musical devices, like this. It is a set of 3 flutes that play automatically.
Is this sort of playing actually driven by electricity?
So, for my instruments, I usually make them into another physical performance. I use my computer or some controller to control them. I think that computers in my musical performances play a very important role. It's like I am using a computer to train a performer, and then it can help to do some things that maybe I couldn't originally do myself, because I can write a program to play the sound that I want. Like in all of this wreckage here, we have a
little bird.
So I want to hang a lot of these birds that make sounds in the air. This project wasn't approved, but we are all used to wanting to first do the first steps of verification before trying to scale up a possibility. So actually, we put a motor inside of this that can pull its wings. So in the air, it will be like this.
So through the motor
and the electromagnetic make a connection, like this here. And there are some old works that we put here. This is my unboxing series. This one is called Seascape. When someone is in front of it, it will activate and open it. And
it's amazing.
It emits we tried using a bunch of plastic particles inside of the container. So when it spins, it emits a rustling sound. Actually, we imagine wanting to take the sound of waves and close it in a box. So as the box opens and closes, the sound becomes bigger and smaller, like the sound of waves against the shore.
Is that the sunset? It looks like the sunset.
Actually, I especially chose white, green, and blue beads, and then the back emits some light. The effect is more obvious when it is darker. This one is called Single Bubble. It emits the sound of a piston valve opening. I always try to use digital control methods to control these mechanical things. I can write some different random changes for opening and closing. So this box, sometimes it completely opens, sometimes it doesn't open, and sometimes it just quietly emits sound inside of itself. I try to make it have something like life.
Teacher, when you were studying, because I know that you majored in fine arts, did you also learn to program then?
No. Actually, I started coming into touch with computers when I was quite young. During elementary school at home, because my cousin's husband happened to be a lecturer at a computer school in Kaohsiung, and at that time he would come to our house to teach us how to write some basic and fundamental grammar. So I studied computer programming when I was very young. It was a little like I was enlightened. And then from an Intel 80286, I went to 386, Windows 95, 98, to the present. So actually, I'm no stranger to the computers as a tool. And often I want to play some games or upgrade some hardware system components. So slowly, I tried a lot of things. This was all practice on IT products, right? I think that I just constantly wanted to play. Actually, being able to write programs was something I didn't come in contact with until graduate school.
Many of your works use kinetics and mechanics. I'm sure that as a student, you also didn't study this area. A lot of it was maybe done through self-study. Teacher, can you share with us what your experience has been with self-study, and can you share with our students?
Actually, I think that self-study is you wanting to try to find resources that you can master. So I wanted to study sculpture in college. I chose sculpture. I also wanted to do some mechanical devices, But my teachers did pure sculpture. They taught aesthetics and shaping. They wouldn't tell you how to learn to assemble gears. So actually I think that the first motivation was to make a moving device. So I just went and took apart some things that move, like electric fans or mechanical walking toys. I would discover what sort of principle was at play inside that would create such a movement. So after that, it was toys. Sometimes the things from disassembled toys can't directly be used in your own device. So you slowly come to see how to buy gears or even design gears yourself and send them to a factory for manufacturer. And then you assemble them. So you'll start to go through many stages. I think that something that's really important is trying to find your own problems and then solving them.
Just now you mentioned to experiment and then to create. I have found that artists' studios, especially in new media art, are often like laboratories or factories. You can even see on the shelf here that there are a lot of medical formulas and mysterious devices. Teacher, can you explain to us the tools you use to create?
As for creative tools, in a moment, the middle area is our office, and we have a factory there. There is a lot of machinery in the factory. We can explain them to you there. Our factory is split into two areas. This area is relatively dust-free. It is for more electronic assemblages, or for simpler assembly. And here we also sometimes do some 3D printing and assembly. There are a lot of drawers here. They are filled with all kinds of screws. This is our welding bench. Actually, most electronics are completed here. There's the other space that has more welding, carpentry, and metal processing. This is our most important physical factory and physical object processing area. For instance, this machine, it is a CNC that can cut 4x8. In 2013, while doing our work at the Taipei Expo Park, Music Box of Dreams, because we had to cut a lot of wood into curved shapes, we thought that we could just make our machine ourselves to do the cutting. So we spent a month and found some information online. On the internet, there's a website called buildyourown.cnc.com. It really teaches you how to assemble a CNC. We just use this kind of information, open to everyone, and we set up a CNC machine that can cut many shapes. Here, we also have some basic woodworking table saws, and we have some welding tools. For example, an argon welder, and for instance, a drill press, a lathe, and a milling machine. These are all tools that we have to frequently use. Like this. This is an object we cut with the CNC. You can put a tablet inside. When the time comes, we will also add a cover. It will make the tablet entirely different, with a warm appearance. This is for an interactive musical installation we are making for the Taiwan Music Institute.
Everyone, you just witnessed Noise Kitchen Art's exciting work style. And we are very thankful to artist Tong Kun for showing us. So, Juju's actually saw that in this artist's process of creation, he actually has a very amazing creative space. Lastly, we will ask teacher Tong Kun to give us a few words of encouragement. So, if you are in high school and you want to do new media art, what kind of skills should you develop? How should we cultivate ourselves? Let's ask teacher Tong Kun to share with us.
Actually, as for encouragement, I really don't know how to encourage. But as a creator that incessantly wants to create, or an artist, I think that the most important thing is to maintain a strong curiosity. So, for the things that you really like, how do you expand your enthusiasm to its extreme? For example, recently, because the things I make are all related to sound, I have started to constantly mess around with some electric stuff. Electricity. From what we understand about Tesla, Edison and Tesla, and their invention of electricity, and then playing with electricity, you will discover that behind electricity there are a lot of things that are like magic. This magic, this result that can produce electricity is actually full of magic. So I started to, for example, I started to play with this Wimhurst machine. The Wimhurst machine, when it spins, constantly has a charge. Between the two acrylic plates, it constantly crosses and cycles, generating a charge. And then it emits electricity here. making an electrical discharge. So actually, when you are full of curiosity, you can try to verify it. And then you go do some experiments in this process. You will slowly get some feedback. So when you learned from textbooks in the past, you might think, oh, it's like that. Oh, it's like that. But you haven't actually tried to recreate it. You might not be able to experience the principles that are at play behind the thing, or what the results it produces are like. So I think a very important point is to hands-on create the thing that you imagine. I think that this is a very important path.
We are very grateful to teacher Tongkun. Actually, our teacher just mentioned a very important point. The first one is that you must have an experimental spirit. The second is that you must try problem-solving abilities. Then, you need a curious heart. The most important thing is to do things hands-on. You can see that our teacher just now has a lot of interesting things that he is curious to understand. So he made many experimental works. The prototypes of these works will eventually create more possibilities for works or developments. So we are very thankful to our teacher for teaching us so much about new media art creative spaces and artist thinking. What's most important is that the way we learned when we return to our teaching site. In class, we can try to implement these important ideas as well. Let's thank again our teacher Tongkun.
Thank you, everyone.
Now we'll go to our next lesson. Let's go! After watching, do you feel that our traditional idea of a studio has been overturned? We saw teacher Tongkun's kinetic artworks. This kind of art that moves are really amazing. Speaking of moving art, we need to discuss the history of kinetic art. From the Industrial Revolution and capitalism, the mechanical mass production at the time stimulated socioeconomic activity and even more so accelerated technological progress. Kinetics and mechanics also explored the relation of materials, mechanics, and speed. In art, these have also influenced the appearance of kinetic art. Dynamic art is a creative method that crosses the fields of science and uses principles of physics which through mechanical constructions cause creations to move on automatically. Sometimes works also combine light and music. We can see that this work is a dynamic sculpture created by the avant-garde artist Jean Tinguely. Through it, the beauty of speed and dynamism can be felt. Speaking of making things move, there are many methods, for instance, using drive from natural forces like the wind. The artist Theo Jensen used plastic pipes to build the bionic beast to slowly advance across the coast of the Netherlands as if it were alive. The Taiwanese artist Chiao Zhao, he employed the principles of clockwork toys in his creation, using a motor and gear inputs to create modern toys with a classical mechanical style. Or it can be like Xu Ruixian's work that uses a motor to drive. When the artwork sensor detects that someone is approaching, it wields a charcoal pencil and draws on the wall like a robot. Repeated charcoal lines also give people a feeling of the traces of movement and time. Having viewed these works, what do you think of kinetic and mechanical artworks? Which part of these works makes you feel beauty? We can also ponder, when machines can draw, who is the artist? Just now we saw how Xu Ruixian used a motor to create a robot that scribbles on a wall. Don't you think that's interesting? Now, I will lead everyone in an application of kinetic and mechanical art. Before we begin to create, we can use different ideas to have different thinking and perspectives. For the little horses in the video, there is no wind or electricity to drive them, but they continue to walk forward. Actually, it's the little horse going down a slope, but through the lens, which is parallel to the slope. A fantastic effect on forward movement is achieved. This also shows that we have to learn different ideas to look at things. In the creation of kinetic and mechanical art, we can observe this Rube Goldberg machine. Rube Goldberg was an engineer. Later, he changed his career and became a cartoonist. He liked to draw intricate and ingenious machinery to complete seemingly simple tasks, just like this gentleman in the picture. He is using a complicated mechanical structure to help him drink coffee. Rube Goldberg is also often invoked to describe using complicated methods to achieve seemingly simple things. So, to complete a thing or a work, there are thousands of different methods. There is definitely not only one way. The above two cases also illustrate the essence of learning in this class. If we put aside a single point of view and make our thinking more open and elastic, then your works will be more creative. Let's now look at the running lines of this abstract work of art. What kind of method was used to draw them? Actually, this work was drawn by prototypes of this scribbling robot. Now, let's watch a video of them drawing. Let's carefully observe what angles of movement they use to draw. Different motor installation angles create different trajectories. How do these scribbling robots move? Actually, we can see that a standard DC toy motor is installed on the scribbling robots. There is a disc in the motor with a bunch of wires and magnets. Driven by a battery, it can convert electrical energy into mechanical energy. Electrical current passing through the wire will generate a magnetic field. When the magnetic field and the coil repel each other, it rotates. The motor drives fan blades and creates vibration or rotation, which can make our sketching robots move to draw a picture. Next, we will begin to create our scribbling robots. Now, there are a few steps that we will have you complete. The first step requires a container. We need to think about what kind of movement our scribbling robot will have. We can look at how support, drive, and its shape will give it balance on a surface. First, we need to assemble our drive. That is our motor. We have to use a screwdriver to turn the top knob on a battery motor bought from a stationery store for this kind of effect. For the battery, we install it according to the positive and negative poles. Of course, if you think the attached wire is too short, you can buy a long wire like this for its assembly. Next, we need to completely assemble the motor and wires. We can see that there are two connection points on the ends of the motor. First, we have to connect the wires to these points. You can use electrical tape to attach it. If your wire is too short, we can use a wire stripper or scissors. Gently turn the scissors over the wire in a circle and then push to take off the coating. Be careful not to use too much force or you will cut the wire. After you strip it, smooth the wire following its texture. After it's smooth, we can connect it to the motor. After that, you can think about what kind of movement you want. For example, fan rotation, or using a rubber band to give it drive. Here we will use a rubber band. If you like colorful stylings, you can also use furry pipe cleaners. Next, we will use a utility knife to make a hole in our container. Please make sure that your holes are aligned. That way, its force will be in a balanced state. Of course, you can experiment. Don't worry about making a mistake. Next, because it's a sketching robot, we must have a pen. You can use other wooden rods or chopsticks to provide support. Or you can use 3 pens together. After we insert all of our pens, please think about how it can achieve a balanced force. You can experiment. It would fall over like this. When you achieve a good balance, you can think about your motor device. You can try installing your motor device on the back, front, or bottom. First, let's use gluing tools to glue our 3 pens together. Actually, you can also use magic clay. The benefit of magic clay is that when you still haven't determined how to assemble it, it can help you make adjustments. Now we attach our battery and motor pack to our robot. Let's take a look. With this container, it is attached on top. You can also attach it to the bottom, or take this motor's position and move it to the bottom. Actually, there are many methods. Through experimentation, you can find the trajectory that creates the most suitable effect. Let's look at this position. It's attached to the back. Let's see if it has a balanced force. So you have to start making adjustments. But you will find that if your motor isn't installed with your fan or rubber band, it won't be able to move. Let's give it a try. Did you see that it isn't able to move? We can install the fan, or if your container is too heavy, with added friction, your scribbling robot won't be able to move. How can you solve this problem? We can use rubber bands or pipe cleaners. Because of the weight reduction, friction on the device reduces. Let's cut the rubber band now. Let's try. If it falls off too easily, you can add some electrical tape. When all the wires in our electrical connection device are in place, it will begin to spin. Now we can take the caps off our pens. Then we can put it on a blank sheet of paper, and it will become a scribbling robot. With this practice, everyone should now understand the operations of the motor. Now we will transform our sketching robot into a futuristic robotic creation, just like the ones you see on my table. These are different types of robots that were created by my students. Through various methods like sliding, vibrating, and turning, meaning and function are given to these stylish designs. Finally, it is the end of our video. That's it for today's class. See you next time. Bye-bye.